Welcome back to the deep dive. We have a topic today that I have to say is going to annoy you a little bit, but in the best possible way.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of those topics where, as I was reading through the source material, I kept putting my phone down and just staring at the wall going, oh no, that's me. I do that.
It's definitely a mirror. This isn't a comfortable deep dive, but I think it's a necessary one.
Absolutely. So let's set the stage. We are living in what is, you could argue it's the most paradoxical time in human history when it comes to connection. Just think about your day. You're reachable via email, Slack, text, WhatsApp, Instagram DMs, and maybe even a landline if you're, old school.
Right. You're tagged in photos. Your location is trackable. You are, for all intents and purposes, everywhere all at once.
We're omnipresent, or at least we try to be.
Right. But the source material we are unpacking today, it's a document titled More Than Presence, The Theology of Availability, argues that despite all this, despite being the most connected humans ever, we are suffering from a massive crisis of availability.
And it sounds like a contradiction, right? Like, how can I be reachable 24/7 but also be unavailable?
Exactly. But the text makes this really sharp distinction between showing up and surrender.
Okay.
It argues that we've confused the physics of presence, just getting our bodies in the room or our icons on the Zoom screen, with the posture of availability.
And that is exactly what we are going to unpack today. We're going to look at why our obsession with competence, being good at things, getting stuff done, might actually be the biggest wall between us and, well, spiritual depth. And just a disclaimer for you listening. The source material is theological. It digs into ancient Hebrew concepts, biblical narratives, but honestly, even if you aren't religious, the philosophy here about control versus surrender, it's going to hit home.
Oh, absolutely. It challenges the entire modern definition of what it even means to be successful and productive.
So let's start with the foundation.
Yeah.
The entire argument of the source material seems to hinge on one single Hebrew word.
Hineni.
Hineni.
Yeah.
It's such a loaded word. It really is. Now, I did a little digging on this. In English, we usually translate Hineni as, here I am.
Right.
Which, to my modern ears, sounds incredibly mundane. It sounds like a location update. If I lose my wife in the grocery store and I text her, where are you? She texts back, here I am, aisle 4. It's purely informational.
Right. It's spatial. It's just GPS coordinates. I am located at X and Y. But the source argues that this is a complete mistranslation of the heart of the word.
How so?
In Hebrew theology, Hineni isn't informational. It's covenantal.
Okay, covenantal. Let's break that down. What does that actually imply?
Well, a better translation, or at least one that captures the vibe, would be something like, behold me, or I am entirely at your disposal. It's not about where you are standing. It's about how you are standing. It's a posture of total readiness. It's saying, I'm here and I'm ready for whatever comes next.
The source points out something that, and I said this before, it honestly gave me goosebumps. It says that in the ancient texts, Hineni is almost always spoken before the speaker knows what is going to be asked of them.
That is the mechanism that matters. That's the risk factor.
Yeah.
Look at the major heavy hitters in the texts. Abraham, Moses, Samuel, they all use this word. Take Abraham in Genesis 22. God calls his name Abraham. And Abraham immediately responds, Hineni.
Right.
He says it before he knows he's being asked to go up the mountain to sacrifice Isaac.
See, that is terrifying. That's like signing a blank check.
It is exactly like signing a blank check, and that's the point.
But that goes against every survival instinct we have, especially in the corporate world or just modern life. If my boss calls me into the office, I'm not walking in saying, I am at your complete disposal for whatever you want.
No.
I'm walking in guarded. I want to know, what's the project? What's the deadline? Is there extra pay? I want the terms and conditions before I click accept.
Exactly. We negotiate. We say, here I am, provided this doesn't conflict with my 5 p.m. spin class or make me look foolish.
Right. We want the itinerary before we book the flight.
But Hineni is preemptive surrender. It's saying yes before you even hear the question.
Preemptive surrender. That is a heavy concept.
It is. And the source argues this is where we get faithfulness wrong. We tend to think faithfulness is about competence. I am ready to do the job because I have the skills. But the text says faithfulness is about availability. I'm willing to take the job even if I have no idea what it is yet.
This dovetails perfectly into the next big idea from the source, which
Right.
they call the trap of competence. I have to admit, this part stung. I think a lot of us operate under what the source calls merit-based spirituality.
It's the LinkedIn mindset applied to the divine.
The LinkedIn mindset. Unpack that for us.
Well, think about how we approach our value. We subconsciously believe that God or the universe or success, whatever, is scanning our resume. We think, okay, if I get another degree, if I become a better public speaker, if I get really organized, then I'll be useful. Then I'll be qualified to be called.
It's the qualified myth. I need to be good enough to be used.
Precisely. But the source argues that competence, while it's good in a vacuum, can actually create spiritual opacity.
Opacity. Okay, so what does that mean? Like it makes things cloudy or something?
It blocks the light. It blocks reliance. If I know I'm the smartest person in the room or the best organizer, I don't need to ask for help. I don't need to lean on God. I can just flip the switch to autopilot and say, don't worry, everyone, I've got this.
And the source is saying that the moment you say, I've got this, you stop listening.
Exactly. He becomes self-sufficient. There is a quote in the source that really sums this all up. It says, God is rarely constrained by our inability, but he is often resisted by our unavailability.
Wow, that's a mic drop moment right there. God is rarely constrained by our inability. So our lack of skill isn't the bottleneck.
Never has been. And the source brings the receipts on this. I mean, look at the biblical data points. Moses had a speech impediment. He literally couldn't talk well, yet he's called to speak to Pharaoh.
Right.
Gideon was riddled with anxiety and insecurity. Mary was a young woman with zero social capital in a patriarchal society. If you were a recruiter hiring a CEO or a movement leader, you would shred these resumes immediately.
Oh, straight to the rejection pile. Moses, bad communicator. Gideon, confidence issues. No thanks.
But the theology here is that weakness is an asset.
Why?
Because when you are weak, you have to depend. You have to listen. You can't just execute your own strategic plan because you don't have the resources. You are forced into that Hineni posture.
So we are trading competence for dependence. That is a very tough sell in a culture that worships expertise. I mean, we pay consultants millions to be experts.
It is. And to be clear, the source isn't saying be incompetent on purpose.
Yeah, right.
It's not glorifying laziness or saying you shouldn't learn how to do your job. It's saying do not let your competence become a barrier to surrender. Don't let your ability to do silence your ability to hear.
To illustrate this clash between doing and hearing, the source brings up a really compelling case study. It's the tale of two kings, Saul and David.
Huh.
And I love this comparison because on paper, Saul's the guy you want running your startup.
Oh, absolutely. Saul looks the part. He's tall, he's handsome, he's decisive, he takes initiative. He's the guy you'd see on the cover of Forbes.
The source zooms in on this specific incident at Gilgal. And let's set the scene here because I think it's easy to judge Saul, but if we were in his shoes, we'd probably do the exact same thing.
I think we would. So here's the situation. Saul is the king. The Philistine army, which is massive and terrifying, is gathering to wipe Israel off the map. Saul's troops are looking at the odds and they are terrified. They are hiding in caves. They are deserting. The army is literally shrinking by the hour.
Talk about pressure.
Huge pressure. Now, the protocol was that Saul had to wait for the prophet Samuel to come and offer a sacrifice before the battle could begin. He was given a specific instruction. Wait for Samuel.
But Samuel is late.
Samuel's late. The clock is ticking. The soldiers are fleeing. Morale is tanking.
I feel for Saul here.
Yeah.
This is a classic crisis management scenario.
Yeah.
You're the leader. You have to stop the bleeding. You have to show the team you're in charge.
Exactly. So Saul looks at the data, assesses the risk, and he makes an executive decision. He says, I'll do it myself. He offers the sacrifice. He steps in to get it done.
And in a modern business context, we'd call that a bias for action.
We'd applaud that.
We'd give him a promotion. Way to take charge, Saul. Way to not let the delay kill the project.
We would give him a bonus. But the source defines this action as initiative without submission.
Initiative without submission. Oof. That's a very specific kind of failure.
Saul substituted results for a relationship. He thought getting the ritual done, checking the box, was more important than obeying the instruction to wait. He acted out of fear and urgency. He tried to manipulate the outcome because he stopped trusting the timing.
And then, on the flip side, you have David. Now, let's be honest, David's life was messy. He made some terrible choices later on. But the source calls him the model of availability in his early years. What makes him so different from Saul?
Restraint. David's superpower was restraint. Remember, David spent years in obscurity, running for his life, hiding in caves from Saul, who was trying to kill him. David had multiple opportunities. He literally caught Saul sleeping in a cave.
Right.
He could have killed him, taken the throne, and ended his own suffering.
Right. It would have been efficient. It would have been logical.
But he didn't do it, no. You see this phrase on repeat in David's life. David inquired of the Lord. Before he moved, he asked. He refused to force the outcome. He waited.
So the distinction is Saul acted for God. I'm helping you out here, God. Things are getting messy.
Yeah.
But David responded to God.
That's the key distinction. Saul was self-directed. David was surrender-directed. And the source drops a really profound insight here regarding urgency. It says, urgency is often unbelief in disguise.
Right, let's pause on that. Urgency is unbelief in disguise. That's one of those sentences you really have to chew on.
Well, think about why we rush. Think about why we interrupt people, why we push for an answer right now.
Yeah.
We rush because we don't trust the timing. We think, if I don't fix this right now, it won't get fixed. If I don't make this happen, it will fail. So we override our availability with our activity. We stop listening because we're too busy striving to keep all the plates spinning.
That hits hard.
Yeah.
And it brings us right into the cultural water we're swimming in today.
Yeah.
Because if urgency is the enemy, then modern culture is basically an enemy combatant.
Oh, yeah.
The source talks about the idol of busyness and brings up the famous story of Mary and Martha.
It's the classic paradigm, right? You have Martha hosting Jesus in her home. She is running the kitchen. She is serving. She is sweeping. She is doing good work. She is being hospitable.
She is checking the box.
Yeah.
She is present.
She is culturally present. She is visible. She is outputting. She is fast. But she is also stressed, annoyed, and judging everyone else. And then you have Mary just sitting at Jesus' feet doing nothing but listening.
Which makes Martha furious. And honestly, it makes me a little sympathetic to Martha.
Yeah.
Someone has to do the dishes, right? If everyone is Mary, we all starve.
We all sympathize with Martha because our entire economic system rewards Martha. We get paid to be Martha.
True.
But the source argues Mary is biblically available. She is postured to receive. The source uses a striking term here. It calls busyness an anesthetic.
That really grabbed me. Anesthetic numbs you. What is our busyness numbing us to?
It numbs us to silence. It numbs us to uncertainty. If I keep moving, I don't have to feel the anxiety of not being in control. It shields us from confronting the fact that maybe we aren't listening. We can be present in ministry, leading the meeting, organizing the charity drive, and be completely absent to God because we are too fragmented to hear him.
It's like we are making so much noise with our good works that we can't hear the instructions. We're shouting, "Look at all I'm doing for you," while God is whispering, "I never asked you to do that."
Precisely. We are offering sacrifices at Gilgal because we can't stand the weight.
Okay, so we've established the problem. We're Saul, we're Martha, we're addicted to competence, and we're deafened by our own busyness. So what do? We have jobs, kids, emails. We can't just, move to a cave and shepherd do goats.
Right, and the source moves from theory to practice with something it calls the availability audit.
An audit, okay.
I love this part because it moves it out of the abstract. It asks you to audit 4 specific domains of your life to see if you are actually available or just present.
Let's run through them. First up is time.
Right, and the question isn't just, do you have free time? It's, who governs your schedule? Do you have margin? The source calls interruptions invitations.
That's a hard reframe. Interruptions or invitations.
It is. If your day is packed back-to-back 15-minute blocks, 0 wiggle room, you have technically made yourself unavailable for anything God might want to drop in your lap that he planned, but you didn't. You've zoned out the divine audible.
That's convicting. I hate interruptions. But viewing them as the point rather than the problem is a massive shift. Okay, second domain, energy.
This is about alignment. Are you constantly drained? The source suggests that burnout often comes not from doing too much, but from doing things we weren't asked to do. We are burning fuel on assignments we gave ourselves.
Misaligned energy. You're pushing a boulder up a hill you weren't supposed to climb, then complaining to God that you're tired.
Exactly. God, why am I so exhausted from this project I started without asking you?
Right. Third domain, emotional openness.
This goes back to vulnerability. Are you guarded? True availability requires a willingness to be redirected. If you get defensive when plans change, or if you refuse to admit you don't know the answer, you aren't available. You're fortified.
Fortified, I like that.
You're protecting your ego, not offering your service.
And finally, the big one, spiritual attentiveness.
This cuts right to the core. Do you listen before you decide? The source asks a killer question here. Does prayer shape your decisions or merely bless your pre-made plans?
Ouch. Dear God, please bless this thing I'm going to do regardless of what you say.
Exactly. That's Saul at Gilgal. That's not David. It's treating God like a notary public. Just stamp the document I already wrote rather than the author.
This leads to what the source calls the no discipline. And this is interesting because we usually associate availability with saying, yes, yes, I'll help, yes, I'll go.
Mm-hmm.
But the source argues that to be truly available, you have to become an expert at saying no.
Specifically, saying no to good things. This challenges the idea that giftedness equals calling.
Break that down for me. We usually think if I'm good at it, I should do it.
Right. It's the curse of capability. If you're a great administrator, you assume you must organize the committee. If you can sing, you must be in the choir. If you can code, you must build the website. But the source says, just because you have the talent, the gift, doesn't mean you have the mandate, the calling right now.
That is actually incredibly freeing. Just because I can doesn't mean I must.
It is, because if you say yes to everything you are good at, your schedule fills up with your own competence. There is no room left for that Hineni availability. You become useful, but unavailable. You are so busy doing the things you're good at, you miss the thing you were called to.
So we need to stop looking at our skill set as a mandatory to-do list.
Competence is a tool, not a command.
I think that's the takeaway of the whole deep dive for me. Competence is a tool, not a command. So bringing this all home, we're moving from cultural presence, which is transactional, to biblical availability, which is relational.
Yes. Cultural presence says, I give you my time, you give me validation. It's an exchange. Biblical availability says, I give you myself and I trust you with the outcome. It's a surrender.
And the so what? Here, the reason anyone should care about this is that it sounds exhausting to be constantly available. It sounds like you never get a break. But the source claims it's actually the opposite.
It's incredibly liberating. Think about it. It takes the pressure off performing. You don't have to be the genius in the room. You don't have to force the outcome like Saul. You don't have to carry the weight of the battle.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to be positioned to hear and obey. It changes success from output to alignment.
We aren't carrying the world, we're just making ourselves available to the one who is.
Exactly. And that allows you to rest even in the middle of the work.
Now, before we sign off, let's leave you with a provocative thought from the source material that really stuck with me. I want everyone listening to try this experiment.
Play it on us.
It goes back to those interruptions we talked about. The source challenges us to look at the interruptions in our life this week. I mean, the stuff that drives you crazy. The unexpected phone call, the toddler melting down when you're on a deadline, the flat tire, the neighbor who talks too long. What if those aren't annoyances to be managed? What if those are the actual main event?
That changes everything about how you view your day.
What if that specific moment is where God is asking for your availability and the work you thought was important? The email, the spreadsheet was just the filler to get you to that moment.
It forces you to live with your eyes open. It forces you to stop worshiping your calendar and start looking at the person in front of you.
So that's the challenge. Experiment with a Hineni posture this week. Try saying, here I am, to the interruptions and see what happens.
You might be surprised by who shows up when you do.
Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll see you next time.